Yo, what's going on? This is the youngest in charge, Leon Slater, and you're listening to the Sports Jedi Network. You get me?
You're watching Jedi Sports Network with Kev.
I'm Tom Hannafin from TNA Wrestling. You're watching the Jedi Sports Network.
Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network channel. May the sports be with you.
What's up, Kevin? It's me, Miles Bourne. I just wanted to come on here real quick and say thank you for your support. I really appreciate it, and the fact that you're there every Tuesday really means a lot to me.
Hey guys, this is Elena Black, and you are watching Sports Jedi Network.
This is AJ Francis, and you're with Sports Jedi Network.
Oh, welcome to the NXT Padawan podcast here on the Sports Jedi Network. And of course, our channel, Sports Jedi Media Network channel. We are born nasty. Yes, indeed. It is the born nasty era of NXT. And I am excited. But let me mind my manners, curve my enthusiasm, and say hello to my partner. Of course, the one and only Dos Evo, the one and only Mr. Jeff Lippman. What's going on?
What's up, Kevin? What's up, everybody? Listen, you enjoy yourself. You wave that flag. You get excited. You do whatever feels right, because the rest of this show, I have to say, normally I say NXT was delightful. Tonight, I just felt like it was largely a low-card expose. I
ain't ready to break everything down, but my goodness, if you just tuned in, why I was so excited, because at the end of the show, what saved the fucking show, yes, I'm going to say a little F word for bomb, was the arrival of the big bad Boricua from the Bronx. My guy. Yes, my pal. Now I could say my neighbor, Mike Santana. Let's go. That was the best kept secret that I had to hold for a while. Let's go.
Well, I don't know that it was a secret, but you did keep it. You didn't reveal anything. They sort of gave it away. I mean, you know, our opening segment is Robert Stone on the phone talking about who he's gonna, who he's expecting, and they try not to give you a lot of time to think, but the obvious answer was Mike Santana. That's who I typed here. Well, I just typed Santana. He's making a big deal about telling the head referee that we have to keep NARAKU and Tony D separate tonight because they must be in good shape for the street fight that's going on. All right. Thea Hale wants something. I don't know what she wants, but she can't get Stone's attention. He doesn't care. She's just there and being ignored. And then Natty walks in and sort of asserts her authority, thus walking over Thea more or less. And she wants something too. It's not exactly clear what she wants. I guess just more respect and this, that, and the other thing. And basically telling Stone she's going to end Jada. And he's like, you got a match, woman. What do you want me to do about it? And, that was it. And then I typed, who do you think Stone was expecting? But we already know. We already found out. So wave your flag again.
Let's go. And I'm not going to lie. I thought that was Rich Holiday. I was like, yeah. Because the way the vibe, the whole show was going, it felt like I was having a cod liver pill. And I was like, oh my God. It's like, I have to review this show. If not, I'll be in Dreamland with the Sandman. But then I go, no, I have to review it. So then I was like, yeah, it's probably Rich Holiday, because they teased that NXT thing and all that stuff. And then at the end, I'm like, we go, and for the assholes, because this is the assholes online. I saw the immediate asshole. Oh, the crowd, yeah, no pop, no reaction. The whole crowd tonight was dead. That wasn't your normal NXT crowd. For every bit of the action or lack of in the show tonight, the crowd was dead. The crowd was this not the usual Tuesday night crowd. This had a lot of kids, a lot of families, because they're 3 weeks or 2 weeks away before school starts here in Central Florida, and that's why they get all, usually around this time of year, they pack it a lot of families and kids, and you don't get the normal people, the guy with the Japanese shirt that walks on his own to the arena wasn't there. I'm not saying he's the life of the party, but he's one of those mainstays. You didn't have Sugar Pups. You know the guy that looks like he eats fucking cornflakes, sugar cereals before going to NXT, and he's all hyped up. You didn't have the same normal people that you normally see there. So the only Santa Claus and his wife were there.
The normal people. They go to NXT every week.
They're the local mutants that go each and every Tuesday nights. The regulars. They weren't there. This was a different crowd.
I recognize a few faces, but I noticed it wasn't all the same people. The skinny guy with the sideburns who also goes to all the MLW
Muffin
shows.
Chops. Muffin Chops, yeah.
The guy who's got the head of Ciampa, but the body of, well, not. No. I mean, it's definitely a different crowd. I don't know if that's really the flex that you're saying, though. I mean, I think that new people, if you can't get them excited, that's actually a pretty good pool of how the rest of the world will appear. I minimize the regular NXT crowd popping because they pop for everything. If you can't get over with the NXT crowd, you can't get over with anyone. Granted, the regular NXT. So I wouldn't take too much from this, but you're right. The crowd was largely dead all night. God knows how long they were there. Hey, Maximus, what's going on, man? I mean, I don't know. I feel like they were there at the end of a 6-hour show as opposed to just there for a 2-hour show.
No, the energy wasn't there. But let's break all this down, man. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to go? I mean, I'm on cloud nine. I'm where my guy's there, and I don't know. This kind of sucks for the podcast for us because now I'm more inclined to go in and registering every Tuesday and going to see Mike Santana. It's just like if Mike is going to be put on the main event scene, I think this is one of his number one fans and his neighbor needs to go.
That's right. Everyone listen to Maximus. Everyone needs to get me on their show. So,
by the way, before we say that, I wanted to shout out the Wrestling Soup friendos, Soup du Jour, hosting you there. You guys did a freaking phenomenal job there. To, of course, Rams fan, thank you so much. Get to hear Jeff there, and you guys, all three of you guys did a phenomenal job. I enjoyed the listening. So I wanted to put you guys over and give you guys your flowers.
Well, thank you. I mean, that was absolutely the greatest episode in the history of Soup du Jour. A coincidence? I don't know. I think not. But, I think it was because Jeff Uso was really on his game. But, yeah, no, check it out. I think it was fun. And listen, I know some people out there think I'm a WWE homer. I think if you listen to that show, you will definitely know that I was not.
Maximus, salute, man. Yeah. Salute, Maximus.
Salute. Indeed, our friend from the Bayou, down in Ireland's way. Well, for you, it's up. For me, it's down. For both of us, it's west. So
absolutely,
go west, young man. I actually heard today that New Orleans loses a football field worth of land like every hour. So,
oh wow, because of the underneath sea level.
Yeah, like apparently, like the city is actually or there was a report that said that the entire city of New Orleans needs to make plans to relocate, and I'm sure that has to do with a lot of towns and suburbs and parishes nearby as well. I'm sure it's not limited to New Orleans, but hey, good luck, guys. Good luck, everyone down there.
Now on the minority support. It turned into a little Garden of Thoughts out of character podcasting.
Listen, wherever I am, it's a garden of thought, or at least a garden of something, or at least they're not always good thoughts. They're just thoughts. So anyway,
and you know what? Speaking of thoughts, I wanted your thoughts on the opening segment and this NXT. I think we got a little bit where we're at, but my goodness, let's go. Let's get right into it, man. What you got for me?
Well, I mean, I saw the cover of the Stone stuff. I mean, the controlled chaos in his office wasn't working for me. It just felt too rehearsed, too community theater. I didn't dig much of any of it.
You know what I dig, Jeff? You know what I dig was those KFC popcorn chicken.
Yeah, I did too. And I could have used some KFC popcorn chicken.
I think that crowd could have used some popcorn chicken.
Yeah, or maybe they had too much. Maybe it was sitting there in their stomachs and weighing them down. Maybe they were riding too dirty. I don't know, or too heavy. But
well, they got Dew Wipe still as their sponsor, so they could always hand that out afterwards for a little freshen up.
absolutely good product placement. And then isn't there also an energy drink here, G Fuel, that they could
We
get
got
their
G
energy
Fuel
up?
Energy. Yeah, or if you're not that type of person, one of the older gentlemen or ladies that would like to get their coffee, Blackout Coffee, use my promo code SportsJedi20 and save 20% off on Blackout Coffee. Go to blackoutcoffee.com and save. We got you all covered all where.
And you lame-o NXT crowd people who are going to be there the next few weeks while the regular crowd is doing back to school. I imagine, I don't know how any of them procreated unless they're all going back to community college. But yeah, we've got you between the Dude Wipes and the energy and the G Fuel and the Blackout Coffee. We got you covered. I mean,
not
the
only
popcorn
that,
chicken you have to do on your own.
And if you have a slip up, you go to Devin and Langs and get some undergarments. You get some undergarments in case you need to. The Dew Wipes didn't help in time. You buy some new undergarments. You don't have to be with holy underwears in the arena, or panties, or brassieres. Go to and use promo code Courtney O'Shea and save 50% off. So yes, those are our sponsors.
Wow, you can never have too many undergarments. That is definitely a rule, especially when you find yourself living alone unexpectedly and hate doing laundry. So, more underwear the merrier. Anyway, probably giving a little bit TMI here on this particular episode. But I think that everyone gets the idea that I don't really want to talk about the opening segment because I thought it was dull and I mean, I guess it was supposed to give us a rough outline of what was happening during the show, but I found myself just going, this is bad acting. Don't care about any of this.
No, we mentioned something about, because one of the opening segment was with Thea Hale. And I know Thea Hale was a big thread throughout the show where she's being kind of ignored and there's something that she wants. All I kept thinking of for me that, of course, I expand past the WWE and NXT, was that she won her qualifying match in the TNA Knockouts television title. And I think when I saw that and I saw her being ignored and there was a moment where she was in the women's locker room and she looked like she was going to take her nameplate off the locker. I'm saying I think she's going to win the TNA Knockout television title. And I know the TNA fans and the faithfuls, that are complaining about seeing NXT talent on TNA and vice versa, and they always got something to bitch and complain anyway. I don't get if they really want TNA to actually do good, but that's a different conversation for the TNA portion when we do that at the end of the week. But my point was, I think Thea Hale is going to be at least in the finals of this tournament, or she's actually going to win that title, and I think it's going to get NXT's attention because she's going to be holding a TNA title.
So you think that she was building towards I quit, I'm going on TNA full time?
I think storyline wise, I think that's what's going to happen here. Where she's like, I'm not appreciative here, I can't give a shit here, and I'm leaving.
I'm down with that. I mean, I'd be fine with it. I've heard that she's also going to be on Evolve, but then again, Evolve could have been 4 weeks ago. And I know that Alex and the crew there knows exactly what the schedule is, but generally. Evolve is at least 3 weeks behind real time, so she easily could have done 2 or 3 matches for Evolve, which would air over the next 3 or 4 weeks, or maybe longer, depending on how they edit things when they play them, and do the TNA thing. So yeah, I mean, that would be an interesting storyline. I mean, Thea Hale is someone, she's like the last survivor of Chase U in its iteration. Cal Dixon is actually in Evolve now with an entirely different character, almost like a ravishing Rick Rude type. That
might work.
Yeah, I like work storylines that could be a shoot, or at least with suspension of disbelief with something, and that's something for Thea Hale. Because to be honest, I've been sort of expecting her to be future endeavored. I mean, I would say probably half to 2/3 of who we saw on this show, I was sort of thinking might be future endeavored. Some of them I'm rooting for being future endeavored. One in particular, but I know nobody likes to hear that. But listen, there's only so many companies in the world that will keep 17 understudies. Even a baseball team only has so many backup players. So there it is.
So you know what, Jeff? Thea Hale is so young. like she's 22 years old, or the youngest to sign, or she just turned 22, 21, 22. So young to give up on that type of talent. I understand there's been a lot of backstage issues with with love interest, with so forth, and that's none of our business. But that also weighs in.
She's had a bunch of boyfriends.
I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you off air. To be honest with you. I don't want to divulge her personal stuff because I'm not into it. Who cares who sleeps with who and what? I'm there to get.
I like gossip, but you're right.
I want to escape from the wrestling. I want to escape from my everyday, and I want them to entertain me. And that's why I won't gossip about what happened, what things that I know and hear, and all that stuff there. That's just me.
If you want to gossip, I like gossip, and I'm definitely interested in hearing that.
Like we say in Puerto Rico, bochinche, yeah, bochinche. That's the idea. Oh, I got to show you about that. The whole puppet. There's a that's another kind. Yeah, La Comay. We'll get you in that next time. We have reaction.
I had if you heard soup du jour, there was a whole thing about puppets and avatars where I definitely went too far and revealed way too much about myself.
I heard. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm trying to take that image and that sound out of my ears, but But
I still don't know the image. As curious as I seemed, I still haven't been curious enough to
image. I sat there and visualized you watching the movies, so I was like, no, I can't believe this. Yeah, so never mind.
They heard that, but I haven't. That's the thing. I'm all talk. pretty much all talk.
You're living the gimmick, brother.
No, I'm just a gimmick. I'm living the gimmick of a old man that's a hermit on the top of a mountain. That's me. I'm the old crazy man in the mountain.
So we're talking about Thea Hale throughout this thread, but I actually wanted to talk about the tag team. The first match where we had Dark State taking on Romeo. Was it Noam Dar and Romeo? What's his whole name? With Saquon 6
Romeo Moreno with
Romeo Moreno, him too.
Yeah. And
what's your thoughts on that match?
Okay. Wow. Not much. Okay. I mean, this is okay. So at this point in the show, I did not realize the crowd was going to be dead the entire show. So the crowd was so dead for Romeo and Noam. It took me by surprise because Romeo is a high energy guy, and then Saquon, they were completely dead for him. And I understand he just went from turning heel into face, but the crowd, but that's been telegraphed for 90 days now, and the regular crowd would have gone crazy for him because he's the one they think is going to be a star. He's the one who is an indie wrestler, that's got all that goodwill equity. So I was shocked at the level of quiet and indifference, and it really it was contagious to me. I caught it through the screen. I was indifferent towards much of this match. Then all I kept thinking is, Jesus, they just need to. Dark State needs to do something else, and Saquon needs to be doing something else. And I hate to sound stupid, but Saquon is from DC, Keanu Carr's from DC, and I'm thinking they should be a tag team, but they'd be heels. Anything but what they were doing. Noam Dar, he's great. He is terrific. He's great at wrestling. I just can't get over the fact that he basically looks like a little person. In AAA, they would pretend that he's a mini. I listen to him and I think all the time, wow, what a great manager he would be for so many people out there. What a great leader of a faction he would be as a spokesman, as a Stokely Hathaway, but that can actually take bumps or be that fourth or fifth person in a match. And boy, wouldn't that be much more fun than basically being a coach for Romeo Moreno. But okay, the match was okay. Flash forward, Dark State won, which is fine. This was like an odd bunch put together. Dark State, they should win. They're the team that's been together. I think you're the one who pointed out that they've overdone going through that sort of spot. I was
waiting for my turn. Yeah.
And they sure did, and they exposed that it's a hollow tunnel, basically underneath the that little mezzanine balcony area where sometimes people cut promos or whatever, or just pretend they're observing a match, or when they do the 6 different people who are your new challengers all take a turn to speak. So I don't know, this match, blame the crowd, blame me, whatever, but it sort of had me on snooze. I didn't get. Noam was the best performer out of them, and then he should have been the one that we saw the least of.
When Saquon, when the introductions, the crowd, if there was the normal every week NXT crowd, they would have went a little more bananas for Noam Dar, because Noam Dar was one of the great guys that they love for metaphor. Along, of course, Last Legend, Jakara Jackson, and Oro Mensah, but they liked it. They felt, and they recepted and received Noam Dar. And Saquon, I thought they were trying to do some kind of like Saquon vibes, or they tried to chant, but didn't really get going. Like the crowd, this is when I go, the crowd was stuck on neutral. But in the in-ring, Jeff, and this is going to be, this might be far-fetched, it might be crazy. I thought Noam Dar and Romero, I thought they looked good as a tag team. They kind of, and I said to myself, they kind of remind me of the Can-Am Connection. Now I'm taking you way back, but right before Strikeforce, before Tito Santana teamed up with Rick the Model Martel, you had Tom Zink and Rick the Model Martel team up, and the way they were moving, and they remind me of them. And I was
like,
wasn't
the model then; he was just Rick Martel.
Yeah, Rick Martel, but later, eventually, he evolved into the Rick the Model Martel. But they remind me of the Can-Am Connection. I go, wow, they got a tag team here in these guys. And I said, you know what? That's a compliment. But then the reality hit. Oh, they're not really focusing on tag teams anymore either. Too much. So I felt on highs and lows of this whole entire match. But I did see, if they ever wanted to do a nice tag team with them, I think they could make it work. Now, the way the match progressed, you knew that the numbers game was going to happen. They bastardized the quarter 20 plywood that they put underneath there. They go through it. The only issue I had is they went through it like about less than 2 minutes later. They were back up and they were being separated. Like, shouldn't it be knocked out a little more? They went through a wall. But here and there, right people won, because of course they want to continue this story where Dion, Lennox, and Saquon, they need to go one-on-one. It's going to end up in some type of a cage in a heat wave. I can see they're going to be locked up in a cage, and they're going to go ham out to keep Dark State out from entering and just having a one-on-one match. That looks like that's the blow-off, where it's going to lead to that.
Didn't Saquon already beat Dion in a one-on-one match, though? I mean, I don't like all this running it back stuff, which, is part of my problem with the main event. I agree. Noam and Romeo are a good tag team. They're definitely working on it together. And, again, Noam, I don't think this is any peeking behind the curtain. He's a player coach, and he's the personal coach for Romeo, who they're investing a lot in, because Romeo is one of those guys that, like a Leon Slater, like a Javon Evans, like a what's Ben Carter's name? He's in Fraxium.
Ricky Sosa. Nathan Frazier.
And Jacob Fatu for the big, but he moves like a jungle cat. I mean, and he moves like Spider-Man. So I could see why they're putting a lot into him. I'm not usually one that talks about music. I'm going to a little bit tonight, but that's Saquon music. First of all, it sounded the same as OTM's music coming in, which is lazy. It was just like AI drip. And then the Saquon. It was like some sort of strange, weird porno vibe out of it. And if he's supposed to be a face, that music is wrong. That music is just wrong.
He needs a little bit of a makeover. Maybe after that, either lose the do-rag, do something. He is very deceptively tall. Like, he looks like a little guy, but when he gets in the ring, he's like, oh shit, he's deceptively tall. He's not a little guy. He's not. But let's see. They like him out of the whole entire group the most. Mm-hmm. Now it's up to him to capitalize. I don't know. To me, he doesn't scream baby face. He screams heel. And I think Deion Lennox screams babyface because that's the kind of guy you could run a babyface where girls are going bananas. They go crazy for him. Oh my God, what a hunk! All that shit. But I don't think he's a heel. I don't know. It's something. They look like they're doing their. And look, it's the place to try it is NXT. So maybe they need to see what Saquon looks like a babyface and say, it's not really going to work. I think you're a heel. And then though when he's ready to, when they both are ready to be elevated in the higher ranking of the card on the NXT show, maybe they'll find their right niche. They'll work out these kinks and in the low level against each other, and then when they get ready to elevate to another level, then they'll turn into what they're going to be polished into, get their run, get ready, hopefully called up to the main roster. It's the way I see it when they're
you use the perfect word, polish. Because once Saquon is polished up and feels more natural, but mostly speaking and moding and things like that, I actually think in a different universe, well, maybe in this universe, but with the right storyline, I think he could be a Stone Cold Steve Austin anti-hero, face that acts like a heel, sort of like what Jon Moxley thinks he's doing in AEW and probably sometimes does, but mostly fails at, like Pac. Well, Pac can probably do it, but yeah, I think he could be one of those guys. He's got that look. He sort of has that. That attitude that sort of exudes from him. So I think it could work. I don't know that he needs to do a makeover per se. I think he can have the same look. He just has to stick to a uniform like everyone else in wrestling, so that people can get by. Like I think he should have one do-rag and he should have one time. I don't really get the whole thing with you have your shirt on one sleeve and over your neck and not on the other, but maybe that's a fashion thing or a hip thing. I don't know. Maybe that's not for me to get. I think it just looks stupid. But maybe I'm stupid. Anyway, I think we spent enough time in the opening match. There was really just the opening match, which was just a blow off. But I guess the bottom line is the 6 of these guys don't move fast enough together for it to really be your open fun match. And the heels won, which is also not usually not what happens in your opening fun match either. So it was sort of strange, but really the crowd
that kind of set the tone for the night, didn't it? Felt the strange entrance and the strange victory and all that stuff. It felt strange, and I think that set kind of the tone of the night there. And even the backstage after that, you had was it Lizzie Rain talking, having a conversation, and it led to Thea Hale again, what we mentioned earlier about her. I thought she looked like she was going to grab her name, please, says, I'm out of this place. And then they're talking about Natty being the pain in the ass with Jada Parker is going to beat her, setting up this big match between Jada and Natty. And then we go to commercial and we're talking about a face-off. You have Kendall Gray and Lola Vice. I was like, oh, great. Stick them, I was like, ugh. I mean,
I know that these women's locker room segments or any locker room segments are never actually supposed to feel normal and be, true conversations. But Lizzie Rain needs to speak more slowly, and people can't speak over her because she has such a thick accent that I can't be the only one who has trouble digesting what she's saying. And then when someone speaks right after her, I don't have a chance to think about it. And if she's not speaking slowly and someone speaks over her, which is what happened here tonight, someone spoke over her. They took their cue too early, or just spoke too early. And I didn't know what they were talking about. And, was the story about Lizzie? Was it about Jada Parker going after Natty? Were the girls in the locker room supporting Jada? Were they mocking her? Was Thea Hale turning heel? What was she doing? And Kendall and Ren are standing there just doing whatever they're doing, or like the chorus. And Kendall's acting all facey, which she was all through the night. Not facey, heely. Sorry, it's a big difference. But Kendall was
condescending. It was condescending.
Yeah, she was condescending. She was like aloof, and like Ren is the exact opposite. She's like the girl next door, and I didn't really know what the point of this was, and like if there was no heel that walked through the thing and caused chaos or commotion. It was just, again, it just felt like empty calories. But if it was supposed to be a candid, then it should have felt candid, and it didn't feel candid, and it didn't feel impactful, though. Kudos to you for picking up on the Thea Hale thing, because you'd have to be fixating on her, just focusing on her to see it, because there was like nothing was going on, but a lot was going on. You didn't know who to pay attention to. And I thought the story was about Lizzie Rain and then about Jada. And the story might have really been about Thea Hale. And okay, kudos to planting an Easter egg there that everyone had to pay attention to, but it's NXT. I mean, it's wrestling. Everything needs to be big for the back of the house and for the back of the room and for the old guy that's getting a little bit nearsighted. So, I didn't catch that, but excellent that you did, because I love your idea of that story. And it does seem, it could be why Thea is wanting to talk to Stone about that.
Right.
Well, it really doesn't make sense as to her actions later in the night, unless she's just being petty. I don't know.
No, you know what? One thing now that you mentioned that about having the heel interrupting in that locker room, boy, this is the first time we could say that the NXT show really misses Fatal Influence.
Oh yeah,
this is where they would have walked in and being that condescending group, or that douchey who that comes in and totally burns the place down at that segment, being heel, being the bitches that they are, and that was missing there. They're trying that with Natty's group, but it's not right now. It's not developing. It's not hitting yet. They're not having fun. They strive yet. They're not. There's something missing with that. I don't know. They're not gravitating to. They're not. I know it's a big shoes to fill when it comes to Fatal Influence, but they're not living up to par yet. They're not even able to put on their open toe sandals yet, and that's an issue.
Right. I mean, one. They could have had Ariana Grande with Chantel Monroe coming there, who the two of them would be excellent together and would be.
She wasn't on TV either.
Yeah, they would be great heels in that. They're trying to turn Callie Armstrong face, which I understand why, but she could have come in and been a great heel presence. But the problem with Natty's group, to be quite candid, is Natty. Nobody cares. We've seen every side of her. So, like, her just fighting is interesting. Her talking isn't. Like, if they want to have a heel speaking leader, Nikita is much better. And people playing off Nikita, she's a much better heel. Like her and Sloane Jacobs, in Evolve, their chemistry is much better. I'm sure that if they worked off Nikita in the center, who, by the way, physically is the largest anyway, and is the most interesting looking. She jumped out off the screen, even acknowledging that Natty's the pit fighter. But even when you've got the fighter, oftentimes there's someone in front of the fighter, the manager or the trainer or whomever. So I think this wastes the opportunity to have Nikita as the lead speaker, as they're trying to move her up, up the world from Evolve to NXT. But again, I'll say Natty has been. Everyone respects her. Everyone likes her body of work. Everyone loves Natty. Everyone loves what she does outside the ring. Everyone loves how she works in Bloodsport, how she'll go to NWA, what she did in AAA. But when Natty talks, it's never worked anywhere. All anyone really remembers about Natty is that her farting gimmick from like 12 years ago.
Say Natty. I was going to say that for when she wrestles, but I wanted to talk about I want to talk about the face between Lola Vice and Kendall Gray getting in there and having that conversation about having a match, and all of this is going to lead to August 4th. We're going to have an underground match, but this underground match is not your typical underground match. The NXT Women's title will be on the line there, where she's taking Kendall to a location where she's never been. And I like Kendall's. I actually like the Kendall's rebuttals at the end for her back and forth. What do you think about? What are your thoughts on that whole entire promo? Were you invested? I was like, okay, we got to. We could have saved 3 minutes and say we're gonna get this match at Underground. But at the end of the day, I'm excited to watch it. I want to see Lola Vice is undefeated. And now it's for the high stake title. So I want to see how they get to me personally. I'm already booking in my head how they're going to get to that finish, but we will cross that bridge on the 4th of August. Your thoughts on that promo?
I didn't find their exchange to be particularly dynamic or interesting. It could have been sped up a little bit, but both of them are slow talkers, and probably they both should be slow talkers. So that's a little nitpicky. I like the idea of Lola, saying I had to wait my turn, and Kendall's like, I didn't. I mean, basically implying you didn't need to wait. You just weren't good enough. I am.
Right.
And then, Lola laying the challenge and Kendall accepting, going, and Ren being like, no, you don't want to do that. And Kendall's like, yes, I do. This is a challenge. I accept every challenge. So, I mean, it's interesting because, Lola is undefeated in underground matches. I don't think that they're going to take the belt off Kendall so quickly, so it's going to end a streak, but frankly an unimportant streak, because it's only in NXT. And I think this will be Lola's farewell to NXT as she goes full-time AAA main roster, which I think is good for her as well. And everyone, the main roster's a little thin, so they could use a little thickening, pun intended. I think we saw maybe
it isn't too thin when you have La Herrera, you got La Famer, you got Lady Apache. Have you seen those ladies? They're not trying to thin themselves.
I mean the main roster. I don't mean AAA. No, I'm a big Las Toxicas guy. I wasn't originally when I first saw La Toxicas. I made a terrible joke on the show. I'm like, they let pregnant women wrestle, and the last time now, we used to do AAA reviews, me and LaFisto. We still do LFG on Wrestling Soup, but we stopped doing AAA. But the last time we did it, I'm like, I sort of have a crush on La Toxicas now.
Not for nothing. A side note, this past episode of AAA after Saturday Night's Main Event was a freaking awesome. I just wish I had time to just break everything down in AAA, because that was a freaking awesome show that happened this past on the 18th.
I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you got to watch it. It was good. A good episode. They got a tone. It's a good, the whole all around, up and down. The mixed tag match, everything was so good. So good. Triple H continued.
Well, I blame the Shore people because they made me watch SmackDown this week.
Yeah, okay. Ram. Blame it on Ram. Yes. So we get that match. We get that set up. We're getting excited here. We get another match between Keanu Carver versus Tank.
There was one. I like the one line by Kendall Gray where she goes, "After I'm done whooping your ass, you can go back to shaking it."
Yeah. That's another one, that classic one. The only thing, one critique on that I had about Alola, I understand that you have to look into the cameras when you could do promos looking into the camera when your opponent is not in the ring. When you're talking to the crowd, the NXT crowd, or when you're in front of the audience to cutting a promo. But if you have your opponent directly in front of you, I wish you would have just looked at her and if looks could kill, giving her the looks could kill look straight at her when she's cutting these promos. She kept looking at the camera and looking, and it's like your opponent is right in front of you, across from you. Look at her and tell her these things. I understand that. I don't know who, misdirection and say, look into the audience. You're trying to sell tickets, quote unquote, eyeballs to the viewers. But the one critique, I would have liked her to look directly at Kendall and when she's speaking to her. The conversation is between Kendall and Lola Vice, not me at home. I am listening. I'm eavesdropping. And I wish she would have addressed that. Now, when she's alone in the ring, or any wrestler that's cutting a promo alone, then they're talking to me because they're looking at me at the camera. That's the only critique I got out of that.
Lola's talking has never been her strong suit, but I agree with you. Like, there were parts of that promo where she could have looked at the crowd and looked at the camera and not lost any effect. But every part where she's laying down the challenge, and sort of taunting Kendall or challenging Kendall, should have been eye to eye. And as someone coming from an MMA background, you'd think that that's what she's used to. Now, the counter fairness is they've probably spent the last 3 or 4 years in the PC training her to play to everything except the person across from her. So,
fair enough.
I still don't think she feels natural doing that. She is someone that never needs to speak. And or maybe just is like one line go, when I get you in the underground, I'm going to knock you out. That's like, let someone else do the speaking for her, until that light bulb goes off and the switch flips.
Yep. So for Lola, less talking, more moaning. All right, then we move on. We get Keanu Carver versus Hank Walker in a match there. This Keanu Carver, there is something in him that there's some, but it feels like they don't know what to do with him next either. Now he's got even pushed back even further down the totem pole with the arrival of Mike Santana. It took 3 men. I know Keanu Carver got the pin, but it took 3 men to keep him down. You had EK Prosper come in at the end, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Why does it take 3 for 1? And Hank and Tank, they've been winning they won tag team titles in Noah. They won tag team titles here in NXT, and I don't know. I just was like, okay, how does that? I guess it makes Keanu Carver look like a monster badass, but yeah. What did it accomplish?
Well, I mean, Keanu now has beaten both Hank and Tank. Today, he beat them both together, basically. He took out 2 big guys, or they're supposed to be big guys, even though I never feel like they look like they're particularly big. And Tank especially, they call themselves the Belly Boys. Well, Tank has gotten himself into pretty good shape, so he's not really a belly boy anymore. He's got some abs, not like a 6-pack or an 8-pack, but he's got like the top 4. And it's a little anyway. I think what this is it's going to lead to a trilogy. The 3rd match unnecessary because EK Prospers has won the first 2, but I think that Keanu Carver is going to get his revenge at Heatwave and finally destroy EK Prosper and move forward. And I don't think that Santana coming there is any sort of issue. If anything, Santana is more a face than a heel. Keanu is a heel, so I don't see any. I'm more worried about, frankly, like Jasper Troy, who I haven't seen on TV in 8 weeks. And while I'm not particularly concerned about this person because I'm not invested in them, like Mason Rook, who was supposed to come in as next superstar, I think he had 1 tag match and 1 solo match and like a talking segment since, and that's it. Like if he's supposed to be winning me over and not look like a baby-faced, not baby-faced good guy, but baby-faced, like you look young, fat guy, like show off your moves, do things. So I'm wondering if like they're milking this whole Cam Hendricks thing because Mason Rook is also injured, and that's where that's going.
Mason Rook is going under a reconstruction. They're pumping Ozempic on that son of a bitch. Like if there's no tomorrow, you're gonna see that guy come back with the Gunther look.
Well, if it's not the Gunther look, I hope it's at least the Tugboat Typhoon look, where they're at least getting his shoulders and arms thickened, because you can be a big fat guy, but if your shoulders and arms aren't big, then you just look like a fat guy. You look like Eddie Kingston. I know people love Eddie Kingston, but he still looks from the neck up, from the neck up, the perfect wrestler. From the neck down, a disaster. But Vader, I mean, the only guy that got away with was Tenta, and that's because he was a legit like sumo wrestler dude. I mean, So anyway, enough about a guy who wasn't on the show.
But you know what, Dose? I was going to say this. What I see in Keanu Carver, the way they booking him, the way his attitude and his demeanor, that should have been Jasper Troy character.
Yeah, or Jasper being, the problem with Jasper is like he sort of was, because he was the strong silent type, but they, like Lola, they insist on everyone talking, and not everyone needs to talk to be effective. I mean, I don't remember a single Chris Benoit promo. Brock Lesnar didn't say anything for himself until finally he was Cowboy Brock and people finally heard his voice. So I get that people need to be able to speak as well in wrestling, but some of them don't need to speak until they're like in year 12 or 15 of their career, because their presence is enough.
Kane, we didn't hear him speak for a while.
We didn't hear much from The Undertaker for 10 years other than rest in peace. I know WWE doesn't like to spend empty dollars on managers, but it's not empty dollars, it's valuable dollars. So if you have somebody who is everything else and can't talk, get someone who can talk for them. It adds to the show. I mean, wrestling was so much fun when they were like 6 to 8 managers, per promotion. Sure, sometimes I got the Sheik confused with Skandar Akbar, and sure, I got Devastation Incorporated confused with number one Paul Jones's Army from time to time. But that's just the way of the world. That should happen. So, especially in the territory days when they shared wrestlers. But anyway,
in MLW, Max Crew, he speaks. I never seen his matches. Be honest with you, Max Crew.
Yeah, but he mostly only spoke in promos, and it was basically almost the same. Like, you're going to the wasteland where you're going to be destroyed. Now that he's been Danhausen galvanized and reincarnated, he's not doing any talking.
Okay, just wanted to know because he looks like that type that doesn't cut.
By the way, Max Kruger, his father passed away, so our condolences out to
our condolences. Yes.
Atrocity Cruel. Rest in peace, Atrocity Cruel Senior.
And then I wrote. Then we have this next match. We have the crossover hour: Jada Parker versus Natty Neidhart. And I actually wrote Natty Neidhart. That's why I started laughing like crazy.
I have one thing to say about the Hank and Tank match is that Keanu's go-to move is missing a clothesline. He must have missed 10 clotheslines in this match, so he needs to find something else to go to when he's supposed to miss a move, because it just makes you look stupid if you keep going to a clothesline and the guy keeps ducking. At some point, you don't use your knee or do a gut punch instead. So, I understand that they're still young and training. That's what NXT is, and that's your reflex. But sometimes you need to think in the split second and come up with something else.
He should have a power slam. He should be a power slam finisher. His finisher
By the way,
should be a power slam.
But he did change his finisher. His finisher was almost like a variation on Alabama Slam. And if we've seen his finisher before, it didn't really look like he's been struggling with a finisher. This is simple. It's fine. He's powerful enough to do it. Another problem was everybody was out of position for the pounce, so the pounce just looked like a shove, and so the ending was sort of disjointed. Nobody's going to remember it except for you and I. Well, maybe other people, because of everything that happened after with the EK Prosper and all of that stuff. But still, Keanu needs to get those reps. He needs to be working on. And listen, that could be Tank. I know he's the veteran, but he's a tag team wrestler, so that could be as much Tank as it is Keanu.
That's true. That's absolutely correct. Yeah, and we'll find out where it goes, where he goes. We'd like to see where the hell Jasper Troy is, and so forth. We will definitely see where that goes for there. Yes, we brings me to that match that I was talking about: Jada Parker versus Natty Neidhart. Of course, Jada Parker solo coming along, but Natty with her group with, of course, no Layla Diggs because she's off on the shelves, injured. It was Nikita and Carmen Petrovich. Something about Natty that, like you said, everyone, like you mentioned, you elaborated and you said very well. Seeing her in Bloodsport, she looked a badass. She looked tough. Watching her come out in AAA with her entourage that were not wrestlers, kind of like a mixed martial art fighter. Her match with Promise Braxton at Reality of Wrestling, hell of a great match. But then for some reason, when the cameras come on to the WWE world, I just don't know what is it that she turns into a pumpkin. She's like Cinderella everywhere else, but in the WWE, she's just a pumpkin. And it's like, what the hell is wrong with her? Like, what? Why? Why hasn't it translated? Why? And I'm like, and I saw myself and I actually said this with my wife when I was like, wrap it up. I actually got to give a lot of credit where I saw the sharpshooter done by Jada Parker. One thing that I always had a criticism of Jada, I always said she had the great mannerisms to be a superstar in the women's division, but she needed a finisher. Her hypnotic, great move, looks nice, but that's not going to win world titles. Who's just getting? No, I don't. It's just you're putting your fat ass in someone's face. Wow. You need something different. And I'm not saying that the sharpshooter is going to be her finisher, but she needed a finisher. And if she's going to me, that's what's holding her for that next level of involvement to becoming a world champion, the top of the card, and possibly elevated to the main roster. She needs a finisher. She could put a finisher where when she's telling a story, she's setting up. Even she sets up her teardrop, her hypnotic into a finisher. Jada Parker's ready to go. And that's the one thing that's holding her back. But I did like the way they told the story, how they got to the end. Because it kind of it opened up an avenue to, if you want to continue the Jada Parker Natty storyline where they're fighting and still going at it, and dissension amongst the group, because you already see that Layla Dig is on the outs and Natty keeps belittling her. Maybe someone else, like, why did you let her throw? Now Thea Hale was the one that threw the towel, because we see a struggle between Nikita and Carmen, and great job by WWE camera. WWE production and camera did a phenomenal job, because when that towel was in, I thought it was going to be Nikita and Carmen tussling, fighting, and the towel slipped out of their hands and fell in. That's what I thought. So great job there when they showed the replay and we see Thea Hale do and she was like, "Oh well, I'm here to cause mischief." I liked it, Jeff. I kind of liked it.
I didn't. And I thought it was going to be what you said, which, I'm not sure if I'm so ready for the implosion of the group, but the whole time I'm thinking, that's not how towels work. It's got to be from your corner person. And, the ref sees a towel. I get it. That's their first instinct. But if the other two ladies are pointing, she did it, and commentaries going through Thea Hale and Booker's going, "Oh, yeah, Thea Hale did it." That's thinking, that's not how throwing in the towel works. I mean, it's like, I remember when, battle royals, you had to throw someone out of the top rope, and then like someone who was eliminated or someone who wasn't even in the battle royal will come and pull someone out from over the top rope and they're eliminated. That's not how eliminations are supposed to work. And now it is. And it sucks. It's not fun. It's not funny. It's not clever. I mean, maybe if the person was a twin, maybe if it was Brie Bella helping Nikki Bella or something like that, back when Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose were tag team or the Basham brothers or whatever. I mean, people get it. No, I didn't like that. And also, if Thea Hale's story is, I quit, I'm full-time TNA, I'm going to defend that title there, and I don't even need a locker room here, which, by the way, they did once before with Kalani Jordan. Why is she getting involved in this unless they're going to take that story to TNA, which, listen, everything you said about TNA earlier, acknowledged. My poo-pooing of it, like yours, acknowledged. TNA needs all the help it can get. I know they just did 286,000, which is their best number probably in years, but, it's still not a great number. And if you can grow upon it, and I think it's only fair that if, every contract that runs out in TNA, if WWE has first pickings on it, or, everybody in the world knows that the wrestler wants to end up in WWE, then it's only fair that you should loan them talent from NXT. And not just NXT, some people you're not using on the main roster, and maybe AAA too. And by the way, for whatever it's worth, I believe that me and Lufisto had something to do with this, but even if we didn't, fine. Letting Apollo Crews sign with TNA and go on TV prior to the 90 days being up, it's not an equivalent, but it's not nothing either. I would have never released them, but that's besides the point. But yeah, that was fine. I mean, what we did forget is Shiloh Hill and Danhausen, which I thought would work pretty well, and it actually did. Getting the tooth from Danhausen makes sense if anyone knows Danhausen. If you don't know about Danhausen and the tooth thing, which is probably the one thing they haven't really sold too much on WWE with Danhausen and the teeth, you're probably like, you might be getting sick of Danhausen on WWE. But I think for the NXT audience, which, it was a little bit of a treat. And I think with Shiloh, it made a little bit of sense. And, we weren't sure, is the tooth cursed or not? And that played into something a little bit later on. But with Natty, I mean, remember how we were talking earlier, how Lola and some of the other ladies in the locker room sort of talk like community theater? Natty, despite being in the business for close to 20 years and on TV for close to that amount of time, talks the same way when she's on WWE TV. It's like, it's so unnatural. It just feels artificial.
And you know what sucks? If you hear her on Busted Open on Thursdays for her 1 hour show, The Heartbeat, she's so different. And I'm like, where is this? I need that lady on fucking WWE television.
I don't listen to her, but I've heard her speak. I watched Total Divas. I saw her with her sister. A little bit troubling, by the way, at times. But she can speak normally. When she was on NWA, she speaks normally. Bloodsport normally. Even AAA, it's just weird. She gets there and she sort of like reverts to like, I'm a 24-year-old, my first year on TV voice.
It turns like,
one more thing on the Shiloh Danhausen thing. Shiloh's trying to buy. He doesn't have any money on him, but he offers Danhausen cryptocurrency that's probably and Danhausen calls it cryptocurrency. So of course he's into it, and then tries to put it into his like 1984 like Apple, Commodore 2400.
I gotta get a hold of Shiloh Hill. Maybe he could get my channel back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is exactly who you should enlist. You were at 97%, but it's that last 3%, man. It's that last 3%.
No, it just disappeared. Like I gotta get in contact with YouTube all over again because this is yeah.
Everybody, please subscribe to Sports Jedi Media Network on YouTube. Everywhere else, it's still the Sports Jedi Network, but we need your help on YouTube, and please share, like, subscribe, and tell all your friends to do so too, and all your pals, because basically we lost 18,000 subscribers because of a hack.
We'll get them back because of a hack, but we'll get them back. We're working. I have faith.
When I want to talk about there's a found, but
yes.
We're still in the
Danhausen. I don't find Danhausen. People, maybe the small niche of the wrestling fans that want to complain about everything. I don't see Danhausen fatigue yet because he's crossing over. Because he's crossing over mainstream. When you have ESPN showing you World Cup highlights, then they're showing you WWE highlights afterwards, mixing with MLB, you're crossing over. That's what Vince McMahon's dream was. To taking the wrestling business, the WWE, and becoming mainstream where everyone's talking about it, not looking at it as taboo or wrestling. And that's what it's doing right now.
But you need someone to be a star for 5, 10, 15 years. What this is doing, it's making him Hawk Tua. He's like the fad of now, and then you get overexposed and people get tired of it. It's the same thing that AEW did with arm testing.
That's fine, but he's opening that door. Now it's up to them once that door is open, it's up to the talents and the rest of the roster to go on and knock down the door and take over the reins. You know what I mean? He's opening the door. All right, I'm going to be the custodian and open the door and get everyone talking. And and no one gets excited to see the custodian walk in, but whatever else follows in afterwards, that's where the WWE has to do. That's why I don't think Danhausen thing is fatigue or it's not working. It's working well.
It's working. And again, but I don't think it's opening the door. I think it's unique. I think this was lightning in the bottle. He's not going to uncurse and curse teams, and they're not all going to win championships. Now, if he does that for a baseball team and a football team and a hockey team, well, then this could be forever. But he got the Knicks. He got
the World
at
Cup.
The right time, the right place.
I'm not saying he has anything to do with it, but he is picking. He's on a roll in coincidence in the right set. No, if this guy goes and calls the World Series here, now we got, oh my goodness, people are going to be keeping an eyeball on watching for the MLB.
If he doesn't, then it's done.
Then it's just done. Of course. It's a fit. Yeah, it's a crapshoot with him and working with Shiloh Hill. I was like, okay, because I always said, damn, Danhausen. I always thought if Danhausen, when the rumors were that he was signing with the WWE, I said, he'll probably be an NXT goofball and he'll do things in NXT and the people in NXT will go crazy for him, yada, yada. No, now I saw him in NXT. I was like, okay, they're going to try something in NXT, especially since they're going to go on the road for Heat Wave and they're going to try to sell out for Worlds Collide. So they're going to probably have some Danhausen here and there so they could try to sell some tickets or merch and all that stuff. Maybe they'll go that route with that there. We had a showcase match. Nico Vance versus Sean Spears. This is where I say I was bored to tears with this match. Not a good one. Not a good one.
Me too. Yeah,
I feel bad for Sean Spears because he's back in the WWE. You know, I think he's done an agent role. He's transitioning as well as an agent role for Spears. I kind of like Sean Spears. Like, man, I wonder, he would be a nice ally or another heel alongside with Cody. Or Cody would ever go heel in the fashion, but they're here and there. But I was like, okay. One thing I did like the ending, how they got to the ending, because it ended the match, was the old Eddie Guerrero throwback with the chair being hit, stomped, the referee disqualification. I'm good with it. I know after we had Lizzie Rain come out and cause a distraction, which NXT loves to do, and the referee gets turned around, and then they bushwhack to the back, the two ladies, and then that's when the disqualification happened. I'm like, I just rolled my eyes. Seen this I saw that last week with the tag team. I saw it last week with the elimination match where they bushwhack her out and they fight and they go to the back and then they get to the ending. Just typical NXT trope.
I was bored to tears with it. I don't see the point of the whole thing. I don't understand why you have the old guy go over the young guy. I'm tired of the Eddie Guerrero thing. It's been overused, especially in the last couple of years. Everybody tries to do it. It isn't that clever. I thought Izzy was on a little bit of a roll. I'm not so sure that she is any longer. She looked great. I don't know. I'm not sure about Nico Vance. He's hasn't been there a long time. Most of the time, he's just been standing around. He seems like a fairly one-dimensional wrestler. He's got a great look, but he isn't that big. Like, for his look and his style, he really should look more like Keanu Carver than he does like him. I mean, if it wasn't for the tattoos, he'd just be a guy that looks like he's in pretty good shape. Or he needs like a bunch of guys around him that look like Rick and Scott Steiner, so like he's in like a biker gang or something. But I don't know. I think that he's somebody that's on a bubble, and I think he might be on the wrong side of the bubble. I don't see where he fits. And this thing with Spears, I mean, he's another one that we're probably going to have to see another match where he finally beats Spears, in a no DQ match or some sort of chairs match, but I don't even know what that means. So I don't know. I mean, we've got a bunch of feuds that need to end. Dark State and Saquon and Nico and Spears, and I don't want to see them run back. And there's other things that are being run back that I don't really need to see again either. So I don't know. There's a
fair enough.
I think the next bus flip might be a minor league bus flip.
Fair enough. I could see, look, in a perfect world, but it's not. And if they were to emphasize more on tag teams, Nico Vance and Harlem Lewis would make a nice tag team. Aesthetic-wise.
They could be. They
aesthetic-wise.
Yeah.
But, yeah, because I don't remember. I can't remember. I've asked you what was one of Nico Vance's best singles match. I can't. I don't remember.
This one?
And that's a bad thing.
And it wasn't that good?
Thing. No, yeah. That's a bad thing for him. That's why I could see he could be under the side of the bubble. I know he was Reality of Wrestling's champion for a bit. I did not watch it. I used to try to watch Reality of Wrestling, but again, back to the problem I have: too much wrestling coverage, plus we're trying to run a channel and all that stuff. I just don't have enough time in the day for that. I would love to. I was getting into Reality of Wrestling. Good.
I clicked on Reality of Wrestling this week, their YouTube show. I'm like, I should check this out. I made it through 2 matches. I'm like, I don't care about any of these people. I mean, I was expecting to see people that I recognized, and I knew I'd see some people that I didn't recognize. They were Booker students, whatever, but it felt like it was all Booker students. There wasn't a name that I recognized. Listen, I'm not hardcore indie anything, but I do know most of the names of the people who are pretty well regarded on the indies or on the cusp of being there. I didn't recognize anyone. I'm just like, I'm done. I'm not. I don't need more wrestling, and it's very easy to me for the tap out of anything if it doesn't catch my attention right away. No. And it didn't catch my attention. Anyway, we're not here to do Reality of Wrestling, but want people to know.
But we got to give them a shout out because they are a school of WID program school, and Booker T. When Booker T gets his hand on talent, he has like a 90% success rate. They just turn out to be good wrestlers into the business and longevity, and they get taught right. So if Nico Vance was in Reality Wrestling, he's a great, phenomenal coach. I told them, I always tell everyone this.
Yeah, and you can hear me and Lou cover LFG on Wrestling Soup. I mean, yeah, but we're both big fans of Booker, especially there's sometimes where it really shines.
And I
Nico
say
Vance,
this: if you're a young kid or your son or daughter wants to get in the wrestling business and you need to find a school, you send them to Southeast Texas, over to Reality of Wrestling. Houston, we're not there. When this is not a paid endorsement or a paid program, it's just the truth. You know, the proof is in the pudding. We have wrestled a few talents that went to Reality Wrestling School that are independent scenes, and there's a lot of students that had success getting contracts in Ring of Honor, AEW, WWE, TNA, all from Reality Wrestling. Our guy AJ Francis, you know, is a coach and so forth there, and Reality Wrestling. So there is a lot of good stuff from Reality. I'm big on that school. If I had a kid, my kid wanted to get into business and they were younger, I would send them. I would definitely send them down to Reality Wrestling. That's the school I will send them to go learn from the best down there. All right, so enough of that glazing of Booker T. We'll talk about something.
Someone that Booker T likes to glaze, Kalani Jordan, complaining to Robert Stone, trying to make her case that she won the number one contender match, and Robert Stone is like the ref's decision is final, and Kalani's screwed again. So obviously she's still making her case.
How did you like that footage? That was so close to looking like an actual 3.
I like the footage a lot. I think that's exactly what it was supposed to be, and I like the story, and I like Kalani Jordan, and she's a phenomenally good looking woman. She's really gotten really good at wrestling in a very short period of time, and we can have this discussion endlessly as to why the NIL athletes on the women's side take to wrestling so much more easily than seemingly the NIL athletes on the men's side. I don't get it. Maybe it's just good luck, bad luck kind of thing. But the women, I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches what they've got there. And Kalani Jordan, she could be a star anywhere, and she will be. I mean, her only problem, she's married to Carmelo Hayes, so and not me.
Kalani's a sweet girl, good girl there.
Oh, well, that explains it, because I'm not sweet. I'm sour.
Also, we saw OTM.
We did.
Now OTM comes up, and Robert Stone has a dilemma. He doesn't know what show he's going to book Bronco in, because he's in two groups, or he's with a tag team in one and another, and they're going to run a show the same night, the same day coming up, and he doesn't know which one to book him. And his partner, they're implementing OTM as an issue, a possibly splitting up issue. They're teasing it, like teased a little bit last week. They're teasing it this week again, where Stone wants to talk to Bronco private alone, and you think, instead of inviting his tag team partner, which one we're going to use? No. What's your thoughts on that one, the dissension?
Well, I mean, it started with Stone saying, "No problem, I got you your match next week," and I didn't. Whatever it was, he spoke over. He mumbled his words or whatever. I don't know who they're facing next week, but it's someone who they were looking for. So I don't remember who they were.
They're Birthright. They had their match against Birthright. It was Birthright.
Okay, Birthright. As far as teasing the dissension, it makes perfect sense. I don't like it because I like OTM as a tag team, and I like tag team wrestling, and I think they visually look good. I think they work well together, and I think that they could easily be a solid tag team for 10 or 15 years if they wanted them to be on the main roster, as they develop. It does make sense. Bronco can also do the ultimate babyface thing. I mean, I think the show is in the same building, so I'll work both shows, dude. No problem. I got my partner here, and I got my crew there. I mean, I can do both. I mean, it's not like
I say this.
It's not like Los Perros del Mal have matches. They just run in and they beat people up. You can do both.
This past week on AAA, he looks like a monster. He looks like an ultimate badass Bronco Lima. He fits AAA. I mean, of course, being part Mexican, part Guatemala, he's from that. Man, he fits AAA. He looks, I'm like, man, I could see Undertaker use that guy and make him in 2 years or a year the face of at AAA, because he just fits the bill. He looks it, man. He's got that look. Bronco got that look. And I'm like, man. But he could speak both the language.
Yeah,
he talks
in a lot of ways. He could be a young, what Damian Priest but
Yes.
Damian Priest wasn't ever a young Damian Priest. He became Damian Priest sort of older, and Bronco is already bigger and stronger than Damian Priest is or will ever be. And he also seems more natural. I mean, which is a strange thing to say, but he the opposite of the same with like Lola and Natty. When Bronco talks, I feel like he means it. So I'm of a mixed mind with this, but as far as stories are concerned, the story makes perfect sense, and we'll see it play out. But I'm interested in this. I'm interested in every part of this, which is unlike a lot of the show tonight that I wasn't interested in. And I love NXT. I've been watching NXT since before it was on any TV, before it was on the WWE. What was the first channel it was on?
It was on the network.
Yeah, but then they moved it to USA. So yeah, the network, then USA. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say I was watching the FCW and all that. I wasn't. But yeah, I've been, NXT. It's gotta be 10, 12 years I've been watching NXT.
No, got you. We got it. Speaking of that, 12 years, we had a debut. Are you ready for the Queen of the Volcano, Reina Volcan? I mean, she's making a lot of guys erupt.
I am, but you're skipping something. I understand why you're skipping it because it was a little bit weird. It's another thing I don't want to run back, but that was, basically Cam Hendricks telling Stone that he's had a setback that he's only like 63%. But then also Miles and Tavion, they're like, hey, we want to run back the NQCC or whatever, and we want a tag match against Vanity Project, and then Stone's like, well, I was gonna, Miles, I want you to defend your North American title, and I was gonna give it to Cam, and then Cam's like, ooh, wait, look, I've just been cleared. I'm at 103%, and Stone's like, okay, so Miles, you're gonna defend against Cam Hendricks at Heatwave if you and Tavion win your tag team match next week against Vanity Project. So if Tavion and Miles aren't the tag team champions, does that mean there's not a North American championship? So that was I don't know if he slipped, if that's a weird stipulation, if that's...
I didn't hear that again. I didn't pay attention to that one because I was like, I had the Charlie Brown in my ears. Wah, 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 wah.
It was so weird because why would they have to, like, if they're now the tag team championships, why is it so important for them to defend the North American title? And why would somebody who's going to get a North American title shot not get it if the tag team doesn't win? There was no sense to that. I hope I misheard it. I hope I'm wrong.
But I gotta listen to it because I know I got excited. I saw when Travion got too overzealous and excited in the kitchen. He started running around like a clown. So I totally couldn't understand and hear it maybe because I saw Tavion's emotion got overexcited. So I'm like, all right, where is this going?
And there's another two guys. They just need to get away from each other, like Saquon and the Dark State and some other people we were talking about. They just need to get away from each other. It's like this never. It's like the Jericho vortex that people used to complain about, but this is totally voluntary. It's not like there's some big star doing this. These are the bookers keeping people together because they think they work well together, but they don't. And even if they do, they have no chemistry. They're not interesting. Like Tavion would be so interesting if he was like just a badass heel. I don't know.
Hey, every time I get to see Miles Bourne, like you hear him in my introduction, he inspires me.
Yeah. Well, I know, and it means a lot. It means a lot to him that you're here right now. It probably doesn't mean very much to him that I'm here right now after the smack I was just talking. He probably doesn't like me very much, but it's nothing personal. I just don't find you very interesting, especially in that dynamic. A different dynamic, maybe, probably not, but maybe.
A man who goes out with Stephanie McCare is always premium in my book.
I say NXT Love Island Bible study.
Yeah. But anyway, he probably can't hear you.
All right. Well, hopefully he's not reading my lips either.
Oh my God.
Here's something to get excited about. Skylar, Ray, against Reina Volkan. Now, Skylar Ray won LFG, but she's been sort of had trouble launching since then. She expressed that earlier in the locker room. She was part of the locker room banter group. And Reina Volkan. Okay, so as I complained about Saquon's music, the opposite here. Her music is perfect for her. I'm not saying it's the best ever, but it was good enough, plenty good. She comes in and, another reason why I think Lola Vice might be leaving, not that she isn't ready, but, now you got the Latina thickness replaced. If I'm PJ Vasa, I'm very worried that I just became expendable because, this woman is, she's, as strong and intimidating looking as Jeff Cobb, but Jeff Cobb in the men's division wasn't effective. But in the women's division, it's entirely different. And Reina Volkan she is thick, she's muscular, she's good looking. Her moves are impactful. This was basically a glorified squash match. It was supposed to be. I thought both women were great. Reina, one thing she relies a little bit on, sort of that, where she jets herself with that, sort of elbow that she sort of flies herself. She's, almost like Kiana with the clothesline. But it's fine. This is her debut, and she hit that natural disaster, which is, the Lex Luger torture rack. It was impactful. She didn't lose her footing this time. She did sort of the double stomp, and it looked like she could have broken Skylar in half, which she could have. Dominant match. She looked great doing it. She looks like a star. She could be in title contention in 1 month, and nobody should complain about it.
What I saw there, when I saw her debut and wrestle, because I seen her. I never seen her match in full in the independents in CCW. Wherever she showed up to wrestle, I did finally see her first full match. I only saw bits and pieces and highlights. When I saw her match and all that stuff, and I go, she's going to win the Iron Survivor. She's winning this year's Iron Survivor. Her match in Zarya is going to be freaking badass. All I kept thinking, when that match happens, and hopefully they don't rush it. They don't need to rush it. They need to, let her go through her progression. Let her see how they got to hear the crowd get behind her as a babyface, because Zarya has to continue to be booked as this terrorizing heel. And when they do get this match, whether it's New Year's Evil or whatever the case is, or Stand and Deliver, whenever they want to do that, they need that. That's the match I need to see. They need to build it. They need to properly build. They got this blank canvas to get us hooked. This is the classic long-term booking. That should be the end game. Well, for Reina Volkan versus Zarya, that's your big money match. They better not squander the opportunity they had with Jordan Grace and Zarya. That was supposed to never got that. They teased it at the 2300 Arena in DCW. They never gave us that payoff. They need to. I thought they were going to do long-term booking there. I hope they do that with Reina Volkan and Zarya. We'll see for Reina. I thought she was impressive. So talk about someone's in a bubble. Skylar Rain is in a bubble. I don't know what they're gonna do with her.
Yeah, but listen, she's a lovely girl. She's very personable. Her footwork is great, but you're right. She's very tiny, and yeah, so I think there's a ceiling, and I think you're right about that. I feel bad, but I don't feel bad, for this. The only thing I want to add to anything that you say is that I'm going to make a call right now that Reina Volkan is in the Royal Rumble this year.
Oh, wow. You know what? Let's go. If she's ready, if she elevates that quickly, I am ready to go. I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded
but she'll be there. And by the way, you mentioned somebody, another person I'd be a little bit worried, Jordan Grace.
Yeah, because she's been away on vacation, like traveling the world, and she hasn't been even in television. She's away.
They now have another, 5'1" powerhouse.
That's another. Yeah, they have another of the same. But she's been bulking up again with muscular. Her latest pictures, she's finally getting her muscles in her back. She's heading the weights again. Hopefully she her different look. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you on that one when it comes to Jordan Grace. Hopefully, one thing that we could agree that we saw a black car show up. The typical open the door. Who could it be, Book? Who could it be, Book? I know if you saw the beginning of the show, you know who it is. But let's get to the main event, the street fight. The street fight, Naruto and Tony D'Angelo. Like when I saw the mist earlier in the match, I said, Tony's winning. He should have. It's like, why are you blowing your load so early with your mist in the face? Why did you give him the money shot so quick?
I am so done with this NARAKU experiment. Just future endeavor him and pack him up, return to sender. Enough. Nothing interesting. This match is a street fight. The one thing you know about NXT is that its parking lot and the street is the most dangerous place on earth, absent actual war zones, and maybe even more dangerous than some war zones. The only place this match didn't go was the street. Actually, it went nowhere. It was just it was just a no DQ match, a weapons match. I was bored to tears until like the last 4 or 5 minutes, where actually it got good. I like the ending. I like that NARAKU tried to go to the mist a second time, but Tony blocked it. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone block it and then use it offensively and rub the mist in someone else's eyes before.
New.
Yeah. So that was new or something I've forgotten, or at least is not overused. So obviously then NARAKU was in trouble. Tony D used the kendo stick, and sort of pulled it up between NARAKU's legs, impacting his Jolly Rogers. And then he did the choke slam through the table for a win. Tony D's
little sensu beans.
Right. Is wasabis. I don't know. Tony D won clean 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. So I don't, this is another one where I don't know why they ran it back. It should be done now. And NARAKU should never be in the title scene again. He's lost again. Bye. Nice try. Sayonara. Go. You're done.
Konnichiwa.
Yes.
And then out comes the music. Mike Santana arrived. Comes to the crowd. Stands on the balcony, looks, and Tony D'Angelo looks puzzled. He goes, "Oh shit, my title reigns is over." Yes, indeed.
Face-on-face violence coming.
Poppy's home. Let's go. So Mike Santana officially signs TNA, leaves TNA and signs with NXT, and we'll see where that goes. I was excited here. I know people will say, "Well, if he's going to go to the company, he should have showed up in NXT." And Saturday night's main event. No, it would have went nowhere because it was mostly New York Knicks centric, Madison Square Garden centric. It wasn't the right place to debut Mike Santana.
No, and NXT is where he belongs and where he should go. I mean, it may not be a long time, but I could easily see him defeating Tony D. Tony's waited a while. He's been sort of the, steady with NXT, as they pointed out, for the last 5 years.
The super senior.
Yeah. He'll have a nice, whatever it is, 6-month title run. He'll go up to the main roster. I don't know when. I don't know if they'll wait for the Royal Rumble or something like that. But whatever it is, I know that TKO doesn't like to have rosters with benches, but you need it, especially when you have some injuries, especially when you're relying on so many older guys, especially when you're so embedded with Hollywood. And, Drew McIntyre goes to do back-and-back movies and gets a third movie role that was unexpected at the same time. And then you release some of your people like Sheamus and Apollo Crews that you could have done anything with. You bring back Cardona, fine, but you're not doing anything serious with him. You bring back Baron Corbin. You treat him a little bit more seriously. I don't know how long that's going to last, but good. But they need bench players they need 3 or 4 of them, on both the brands. And if you're not going to, and I hate to say it, but if you're not focused on tag teams and you're not doing anything with the Creed brothers and you're not doing anything with the Street Profits, make Montel Ford a star. I like Angelo Dawkins, but if you're going to jettison him. And bring back some bench players, or elevate some younger people who for the first year lose 85% of their matches and then next year they start winning 50% of their matches and start doing things. There's nothing wrong with that when you come into a territory. I mean, the Evolve people, when they get to NXT, generally lose the first few of their matches, unless they want to strap a rocket to them like, they did with Vanity Project and Kendall. But it should be a little challenging when you take a step up. Plenty of people in AAA, they struggle when they get to the major leagues. Not everyone is, Alex Rodriguez, who, hit, more than 20 home runs their rookie year. So, it's fun. And, you're not even paying extra if you're using NXT veterans as much. I mean, not because he's the greatest in the world, but what the hell's Josh Briggs doing?
Right.
You do something with him, even if
he's very entertaining on Instagram. Oh, he's very entertaining on Instagram.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy.
He is very entertaining. He reviews food and he crappier nights and he attacks people. He does a great Instagram stories and reels for his show. He does something there. I'm like, where's that personality here? And it's funny because when I started watching 2 Point, when I started going to the Performance Center, when he was inception of Josh Briggs, Jensen, and Fallon Henley, when they were all together, and I remember seeing she was the worst of all three, and I remember saying, I don't know if she's gonna make it. And look at her now; she's a tag team champion in the main roster, and the other guys.
Fantastic. And when they turned her heel,
she's gotten great.
Did anyone think that anyone would ever think of her as a heel? She was such the country girl, the farmer's daughter.
No, she had the heelish in her.
Well, I didn't see it, and I was hoping for it because I was a fan. But I mean, that whole thing with making Tiffany Stratton clean the stables. I mean, I'm only upset it was only for one day. I was hoping that was going to be a thing that they were going to do for a couple of months.
What was the guy's name? Sebastian. We never got to see who was Sebastian.
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, it was Kiana James, right? It was Kiana. Was it Kiana James? No. Who was it that? Remember the love triangle that it was? I don't remember. Was it her?
I don't know. I don't remember. This might have been a fever dream of yours. I don't remember. But
no. It was with It was with the Fallon Henley. Fallon Henley wasn't she with Kiana James? Weren't they a tag team?
I don't think so. I think
Kiana James
attacked Stratton and Fallon Henley were attacking for a bit
because she lost. But there was something there where I think it was where Kiana was with Brooks. That it was Kiana. It was Kiana James, Fallon Henley, where they were trying to buy the bar. Remember?
Yeah. They were buying
they never gave you Sebastian. Whoever the hell was
she was
Sebastian character.
She was buying Fallon Henley's family bar because they needed the money. I love that version of Kiana James.
The name of the bar was Sky Blue.
Yeah, but if they were if Brooks Jensen was involved in that at all, that I blocked that out of my memory because I try to block every time I see Brooks Jensen. There's just a black silhouette there.
He's still wrestling too with the WWE.
I know. He is the youngest generation 70-year-old there is.
And they didn't even think of putting him in the birth. Right? They're like, no thanks.
Well, he thought of it because he was hanging out with those guys. I think he thought he was going to be in Birthright. I mean, I think they're using him sort of as a player coach in Evolve, but once they're done with him, he's another one.
You need another. You always need a Dante Chan.
Well, no, apparently you don't because they released Dante Chan. And by the way, Brooks Jensen, I know you don't listen to me and you haven't listened to me on any platform, but if you are in the Performance Center for 6 years and your body actually gets worse than better and you have free access to a gym, that's on you, dude. That is on you.
Hells yeah. Big time. Big time. By the way, what was your thoughts overall? I thought this was a okay Monday NXT. I'm gonna say it was okay. It was good because Santana came out. He said it was a 30-second cameo. To me, made the show great. That got me excited to go on the air and get excited. But who's Santana gonna wrestle with? I mean,
well, he's clearly putting the challenge out to Tony D. So I mean, I don't know who he's gonna have to face in the interim, but before that to get to him, if anyone. Because Heat Wave is coming up in what? 2 weeks?
We got time. No,
3 weeks?
I think it's at the 30th. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be. Is it August 30th? I thought they're playing
August. They got plenty of time to build. I'm surprised they don't have a TV special in between.
Well, I mean, they could have them against some evolved people. So you could put them against like a Dorian Van Dux or Sean Legacy or EK Prosper. I mean, you could do I guess it was coming
with Travion Heights, but I don't think they're gonna run that back when they did the crossover. That was a great match between them.
They look too much alike. Actually, they should be a team at some point. I don't know. I mean, maybe he takes out the Birthright clowns. I mean, they all seem expendable. So
they cost him his TNA World Title. There is history there. Well, not the exact same group because High Riser they decided to go play. They decided to go smoke hookah, and they got released.
Oh, is that what happened to them? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he's maybe his first challenger is Lucian Price, sort of as a solo wrestler, and it's he's still being mauled by Bronco or maybe all of the Paros at that point.
They probably feed him Cam Hendricks.
Nah, Cam Hendricks, they want to make a star out of him. They're not feeding anyone. I mean, Tristan Angel seems like someone that is there to lose feuds and it doesn't matter because he's so obnoxious. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. They could bring up Brooks Jensen for the match. They could bring back Josh Briggs, for that type of thing. What was that guy from Noah Okamura that they brought in, or whatever?
Oh yeah. Yoshi. What's his name?
When in doubt, Laredo Kid.
I mean,
the LWO kids? Kids. Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro.
Oh God.
There's people. There's always people. There's no shortage of Lindsay Dorado. He seems like a good, safe person.
If he's not licking himself.
Even if he is, I mean he distracts himself and then that causes the loss.
Yeah, they'll feed him stacks.
Stacks. There's another one. Like I said, the entire Birthright. Every one of them worse than the next. The only one that's worth a darn is Lexus King, and that's personality, not so much in the ring. He's just okay in the ring.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll see where it goes. Will be interesting to hear Mike Santana's on the microphone. I believe, personally, I think we'll probably see that's the first thing that opens up NXT next Tuesday is Mike Santana in the ring. I think Mike Santana in the ring signing his NXT contract with Robert Stone.
Well, I think that's what close the show. Could say, I could see Mike Santana. What are you doing here in NXT? Starts promo and he gets interrupted by Tony D. For the counter interruption. But you asked me, what did I think of the show? Honestly, D. I give it a D. It just above a fail.
It just passed. It wasn't. I could see that. I have no problem with that. With a D.
And I hate to do that because this is only my second NXT review for the regular show. I mean, we did Great American Mash, but usually I am a cheerleader for NXT. And for those of you who don't follow me on social, if you don't know that, so why would you believe me? But it's right there at @dose_evil. I mean, I used to post every week. NXT was delightful, or at least 3 out of 4 weeks. And I mean, I've stopped not because it isn't, just because I just post less. But yeah, this show, I don't know. I saw some people say that Raw was lifeless and listless and dull. I don't watch Raw, so I don't know. But I felt like this show was lifeless and listless, and I dreaded some things because it's like I said, they seem to be running things back that aren't ending. Hopefully, this NARAKU thing seems to be ending with Tony D, so that's one thing that's positive. And it looks like the Lola Kendall thing is finally going to end between them. I mean, I think that Leilani is probably going to get involved in that somehow, which is easy in Underground to do. But anyway, clearly not my favorite episode. I'm not sure if it was my least favorite episode in recent memory, but it's got to be close to it. Sorry, folks.
For me, my favorite ending of the show in 2026, personally, So that's it. Other than that, the show was okay. It wasn't nothing great. It's not for me. I'm not gonna rewatch this episode, but it shows you. But I got to give them what I got out of this. They're gonna try to make a conscious on showcasing and making men in NXT a little more stronger.
Yes.
Where that's what we saw. Normally, the women normally close. The women have better matches. They're more exciting. You get more involved. If they did sprinkle a lot of women, but in the backstage segments and so forth. We had a match with Jada and Natty. Okay, it wasn't the greatest so far. We did see Izzy Rain. We saw here and there, but it wasn't a main event thing without the women. They're trying to showcase the men. Hopefully, Mike Santana could elevate that men's division where they need
Wilder
that
will probably be his first opponent. Tay Wilder,
correct.
who will lose by being overzealous again.
And maybe that's where something we could see going forward there. We'll find out with that there. And all in all, we'll find out where everything transitions with NXT in the next coming weeks before they get to, be honest with you, after Heatwave is when they start getting into their season. That's my opinion, because you have No Mercy. Then you follow by Halloween Havoc, right into leading up to the Iron Survivor deadline, then New Year's Evil, and then you're running to Stand and Deliver. So to me, this is like their road to WrestleMania starting right after Heatwave, in my opinion. But we'll see where NXT revamps.
And NXT used to have a War Games also. There's no reason why they can't bring that back too.
We'll see. Maybe we'll get my last final thoughts. Maybe they're going to team up again with another NXT TNA showdown. Like make it a yearly thing where we saw Kalani last year crossing over to TNA. And we saw Joe Henry was kind of neutral with the WWE already and leaving WWE for TNA. While we have Santana in that position, and maybe Thea Hale might be the one going over to TNA, and just maybe that's something leads into where the locker rooms and they have that again, like we had that showdown last year. We'll see where it goes. We'll see, not a lot. The rosters ain't going to be like last year compared to what's possibly in front of us between both of the companies, but we'll see there. We want to thank everyone for joining us this evening as we got to get up early for work. We want to thank everyone. We appreciate everyone that's listening to us, whether you're listening to us on the audio platform or all the digital platforms on that. Follow us on all our social media platforms, Sports Jedi Media, at Dose_Evil. Tomorrow we have the Dynamite Bros breaking down Dynamite, everything that happens at AEW. They're on their go-home show for their 9-hour pay-per-view coming up on the 26th for Redemption.
There's another AEW pay-per-view already?
Yes, for another $50. You got another 9 hours of wrestling on Sunday night too. Yes.
Someone's gonna have to send me the card, and I'm gonna do my predictions and see if I can still keep my above 85% correct prediction rate. Although I haven't watched AEW in over 2 years.
Wow, you're knocking it out of the park. And don't forget,
I was over 90%, but last time I think I got like 3 wrong or something and and that was at 87%. So I think I'm like at an 87% grade overall.
And follow us Talking the League. The guys went live earlier today, so check them out as well. And also good luck out there to Luke Menzies, who's on the independent scene in the UK and all of Europe. So good luck to there. Knock it out of the park, for Luke. And of course, give us a buzz. We want to find out what's going on with the independent scene in the UK, and of course, that you'll see him here on the Sports Jedi Network as well in the media. And of course, we'll be coming up with at the end of Sunday. We'll have a Gardens of Thoughts already set up, and stay tuned when we do another out of character podcast. But you can see the last 2 that we did there that you could review and watch. And in case you missed it, we want to say good night to everyone, man. Have a wonderful night, and may the sports be with you guys. Buenas noches. It's still real.
It's still real to me, damn it. I mean, thank you.
Take it easy, man.
Thank y'all guys. Y'all are awesome.